just propped up. We are live on Oz Property Investors. We bring the big names and we have the big fun. This is such an exciting session. Joe's beer is frothing, and we've got Marci. So we've got somebody who's come to Australia in 2016. And I was saying before the show, drop me in the middle of Colombia where Marci's from, and I would not know heads from tails. I'd be trying to ask, ¿Dónde está el baño, por favor? That's where's the toilet. I just don't know why I said that. But no, it is going to be an amazing session. So how to buy. This investor's bought 4 properties on under 100K. So a little bit of assistance, and we'll talk to that. But no, she's a self-made person, self-made woman, amazing story. So we're going to share some of how the challenges she faced and get to what the portfolio sort of looked like, how she did it, and what's next, because she's only just getting started. How you going, Marci?
Excellent. Thank you for having me, guys. I'm excited.
Welcome. Great to have you. I always love like a migrant story because it's so hard. It's so hard to be a migrant in another country, and then to absolutely crush it as someone that's kind of born and bred here. It kind of lights a fire. Well, at least for me, it kind of gets. I'm like, I've got all this wasted opportunity. Like, people are coming to this country, working their ass off, getting educated, doing all the right things and making it happen for themselves. And here I have been just not doing it. And I've got far more opportunity. I've got far more capital. I've got far more capacity. I've got far more education at my disposal. Like, there's so many more things that I have, but I'm not doing it. What the hell's going on? That migrant mentality really, defines a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, for me, it sort of shows it's just making it happen, like finding a way or making a way. There's no sort of it's not so much even burning the boats. It's just okay, well, you don't know what you don't know, which is actually quite powerful, because you can take that action and make mistakes that a lot of other a lot of sort of people born in any country, whether it be migrating to Australia, migrating to US, wherever it is, you don't sort of you sort of ask. You rather than sort of asking for permission, you ask for forgiveness. So you kind of say, well, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know about that. But no, Marci, I want to get to your story. But first of all, so you did come to Australia. You were a practicing nurse back in Colombia, came to Australia. You struggled with actually sort of translating that and became a chef. So finding a way, making a way. So we'll talk to that as well. But you then managed to buy at least sort of 2 properties after the COVID boom, and recently you've sort of picked up another 2. So it's just, there's almost no stopping you. And now you're moving on to development. So I want to ask you though, Marci, what was it first like moving to Australia and sort of figuring out the lay of the land? What was it all? What were some of the challenges? What were some of the things you loved? But how did it all sort of play out after 2016 when you got here?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges, like moving from Colombia to here, is one, the language, because when I moved from Colombia to here, I didn't speak English. So the language barrier, it was really, really hard. Like after like 8 or 9 years, obviously I'm still struggling. Forgive me if my accent is still a little bit thick. Very proud. However, I want to communicate effectively. So the language, it was there. It was really hard. Secondly, obviously, the culture background, a lot of things in Colombia that are okay, obviously in here are not okay. And additionally, one of the hardest things for me is like, I really love my profession by then, be a nurse. Cost me so much to become a nurse. And when I try to transfer those credits, try to like actually, okay, I want to do what I'm passionate about it. They go, okay, now I'm sorry, like, or you have to pay like this ridiculous amount because I came as an international student. Or you can choose this type of like, career sort of thing that it can help you to get your PR. So it's up to you. And I'm like, look, mate, I don't have 40, 50K to put in a year. So I will go to the chefing. I love food.
What were your other options? It's just such a shame as well. It's like, well, we don't need any nurses. So what do you want to do? See you later, or do these other trades? What were the other options?
It was carpenter and
mechanic.
I can't remember the other one.
Mechanic.
I think so. And I'm like, I don't want to get grease in my hands. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to seem like a princess, but I don't want to get my hands dirty in that sense. Carpenter,
Okay.
oh, I don't like the splinters. Oh, no, thank you. I will go for chefing. At least I can eat the whole day, like, sort of thing. So,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
so chef it is.
Chef it is. Chef it is. Well, I mean, chefs aren't, once you're a Michelin star chef, right? Like, but if you're starting out as a chef, you're kind of bottom of the pecking order, right? Like you're dish pig, you're cleaning up after everything. Like it's not a massive kind of, it's definitely not a prestigious job for the first, I don't know, until you get to however old Gordon Ramsay is, I guess. But how did finance come into this? How did property investing come into this story? Were you Colombia over there, crushing it, killing it financially, locking it down, or did you come to Australia and then get the finance bargain? What does that story look like?
Well, I think it was a little bit of both. In Colombia, I saw my family in the two worlds. Like I got my family that it was very comfortable. I was very privileged in some certain ways, but I've seen it through property. My grandma was the one. As soon as she passed away, and all of those how can I say properties or sort of those heritage were distributed. I've seen my family coming from a very good position to struggle, because just to give you a little bit of context between Australia and Colombia, our currency doesn't lose the value as slow as Australia. We do it from one end to another, from 0 to 180. Bang, you can feel it from the beginning of the year to the end, and you can feel the inflation. It's crazy. Our interest rate, for example.
Is it as bad as the Argentinian peso, or not that bad?
We are in that trajectory, yes.
Yeah, okay.
We are in that trajectory, but we are not as bad as yet. But I've seen it. So yes, coming back to the point, my grandma, I've seen her being very comfortable. And after that, obviously, all my family wasn't financially educated. My other grandma never studied. I wasn't coming from a very wealthy family, not at all. So obviously, I made a lot of mistakes. And when I come to Australia, I've seen the opportunity, and I'm like, oh, come on, man, you can't keep doing what you're doing in Colombia. I was comfortable. I was a nurse, don't get me wrong. But when I come to here, I have to start from zero, which was kind of challenging. What it really hit me, it was 2020. That's how bad changed my mindset. Couldn't be more vulnerable. I was an international student, I was a chef, and I was a casual. And I was living in Melbourne, Victoria. So it couldn't get worse. So, yeah.
It's Victoria.
What else can I ask for? Bring it back. I couldn't get to job seeker, job keeper, to be honest. So I didn't have Centrelink, or I didn't have Medicare. So I said, okay, you're not going back, because to start with, I can't have, I don't have the money to coming back. So how the hell that I'm coming back?
Yeah.
Okay. This is survival mode. And after that, I started okay, you have to be more savvy with what you got. So I started to get educated to start with the financial, FIRE, independence. I don't know, that movement, FIRE movement from US. So I started watching a lot of videos from US. I actually did a lot of online courses for free. YouTube is the best university for free. So how I start getting it, I go into that obsession mode, because I couldn't work as a chef, but I was doing whatever job it was dropping for me, cleaning, doing Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever. But I can't go back, and I have to get through it, and I'm gonna get my PR. So that was how I started. And then I found property, and I was like, oh gosh, what I didn't think about this. Come on, you're kind of slow. What are you doing?
Just anyway. hearing your story, I'm getting, I know it sounds really cheesy and cliche, but I'm getting sort of goosebumps on the back of my neck, because to me, it's there was no other alternative. You didn't want to go back. You wanted to stay in Australia, and Australia is an amazing country. So good on you for just finding that sort of the alternatives you could do to make it happen. Like there was absolutely no way you weren't going to do it. So you sort of figured that out. And so you started, what were some of your go-to kind of content in that US, like the FIRE sort of community? Were you Mr. Money Mustache? I don't know if he's on YouTube, but what's some of the stuff you're reading? Like were you Dave Ramsey? Like what was the stuff? I mean, Dave Ramsey.
Oh yes, Dave Ramsey. I start getting a lot of like books. Like I love The Compound Effect. I highly recommend that book. It's like I believe in God. And that's like my second Bible. Like the compounding effect is always working. It's always
Darren Hardy,
working.
I think, isn't it? What was that? Darren Hardy? Is compound effect? Let me have a look. I think I could be right, but yeah, go on. So how good's that? And then so what happened? You ended up in Adelaide.
You were right.
Yep. And then I jump into Atomic Habits, and that's how I start to get okay. If you start small, you can make it big. At the meantime, the small things are getting into that compound effect. And by the time that you not even realize, bang, you get there. And that really got me. And I said, like, Marcela, you can get tomorrow 100,000 if you want, but you can get $1 in the next, whatever, like 10 years. And you will be more safer to try to get the 100K every day in gambling, your options to get there. So it was sort of like I was trying to educate my mindset sort of thing.
What was the first like big win that you got that kind of said, "Oh shit, I can do this"?
In terms of finance, or in terms of that process in 2020?
Well, I guess from education, like, was there like, oh, actually, like I know that I guess there gets to a point of education where it's you build it up and you build it up, and then you take action, right? And then you say, yes, okay, great, I'm gonna make this happen. Was there a moment where you were like hit that moment when you're like, oh, this is achievable?
If it weren't for me, I would have done it from 2020, but I was international student. So what I did is like, that was outside of my hands. So I was getting
stressed. You just use that time. Yeah, you use that time as like your university, right? Like you took your university degree. You knew you couldn't borrow money. You knew you didn't have much money, but you're like, well, what I do have is time in between an Uber shift and a DoorDash drop off. I can watch a video. I can read a book. I can listen to the audio book. You can even listen the whole way there and back.
Yeah, really. The thing, I can't remember who said it, but I believe in this kind of luck when someone says like, when you are prepared, and I don't know, sorry if I rephrase it wrong, but like preparation plus opportunity, when you take it into an action, you convert it into luck. So I knew that at some point I will have the opportunity, but I have to be ready. I didn't want like to get the opportunity and then freaking out, what am I doing now? And then waste that time to try to get ready in my mind. But at the back of my mind, I was like, I need to get ready because the opportunity will come sooner rather than later, and I need to be ready to grab it. And that's what I did. So as soon as yes, go on.
When did property come into play? Like, how did it, like, actually, why property? Why did you choose property? Because, I mean, you listen to Dave Ramsey, you listen to Money Mustache. All you have to do is get X amount of shares and compound and get 4% safe withdrawal rate. Like, why was property the vehicle that kind of tipped you over the edge to say, you know what, no shares, no cryptos. I've looked at them all. Why? Yeah, property.
Because I'm a like strong believer of like, at the end of the day, finance are important, but at the end of the day, we're humans. That's what I become a nurse. That's what I like. The food. Now I'm providing shelter. So that's my components to give a little bit to this world, especially to Australia, that is being very rough, but it's being kind at the same time. I feel safe. I feel part of the community to some extent. But look, it's been incredible, like welcoming. So I need to return something to this community that is giving me so much. So yes, I'm trying to cook a very like clean, healthy food. So now I want to provide for shelter. That's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So that's what I choose property, because it's one of our basic needs. I sort of what I was doing prior.
Yeah. Okay. So it was everyone needs a roof over their head, the thing's not going to go to zero, right? Like it's an established asset. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Were there any other kind of? I mean, a big book for me was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That kind of set the scene for me. I know it's very cliche. Were there any other Compound Effect? That's amazing. I haven't heard anyone talking about that one. Were there any other kind of like books or podcasts or anything else that was worthwhile that you enjoyed that hit it for you?
In that time, oh yes, I used so many books. The other one, it was Psychology of the Money, because in order to understand how the game works, you have to understand the psychology behind. Otherwise, like, man, the game is gonna play with you. So Psychology of the Money, Atomic Habits. I got a couple too, and I really like to work a lot of the mindset, because look, guys, respectfully, everyone that it got a PR or permanent resident and citizenship that it can work and do not have debt can buy a property. It's not rocket science in there. You go to the bank or you go to the broker, you say, I want to buy a property, and they give it to you. It's not a rocket science, like, you know, but buying a property is one thing. The other thing is like, what am I doing with this? What is the plan behind? What am I gonna do with this? It's like, okay, what am I buying this bicycle for? To put in at the garage? No, I'm gonna start, like, you know, getting exercise. I'm gonna get a routine. Like, you know, you need to have, like, that's the way that I think. Like, when I purchase something, it needs to facilitate something in my life. Otherwise, I don't need it. I just wanted it, and that's the way that I start to adjusting after 2020.
Yeah. I just love, that's one of the, when we were chatting last Friday, the things that you sort of just laid it out, you made it very simple, because a lot of people overcomplicate. They look at 180 sort of data points, and maybe I'm being a little bit exaggerating that. We kind of look at particularly 9. But yeah, even in my journey, it took me that sort of 3 to 4 years, because there's all these kind of negative talk in the back of my head. But you just said, hey, look, it's that simple. You literally go to the bank, and yes, you broker is ideal, but you go to whoever you go to, you find out how much you can buy. You literally sort of punch a bit of data these days and make it happen like that. And you just sort of, yeah, like, I love that you kind of are being real with people out there that are probably, and we don't want to, of course, you want to get that education, get that knowledge, but at the same time, like, I saw Elijah as well from our community. He's bought his first property, and like, good on him, he's made it happen. He was sort of there, but you just had that single-minded goal, and you went out there and did it. So good on you for doing it. I just wanted to congratulate you on that. But then how did you lead down that path? So you kind of said, okay, great, I can't sort of buy now. What was it? Because you told us about this last Friday. You said COVID sort of happened. You saw everything was going up, and you're like, oh, no. When did you sort of realize you could actually sort of start to make it happen for yourself? Like, or what was the catalyst?
When I could, like, transition from international student to temporary resident, when I, like, submit my application, the government invited me, and I'm like, that's it. And even though I reached out, like, between 10 to 12 brokers, if I'm like, I gotta write it down somewhere, how many, but every single one that told me, like, no, then that's the other path. I have to convince my partner, Australian citizen, really hard. And that's how it comes to, okay, it's too hard, because it's hard when you're investing in couples, especially when 2 people are playing different roles. One is super logic, the other one is super emotional. How can you meet up in the middle to benefit both?
You're the super logical one, right?
I'm very super logical one. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things.
Well, one thing as well I wanted to point out, I saw a lot of questions. Where like, as this group grows, I'm seeing a lot of great questions pop up. Like, we're at 80,000, we're Australia's largest, which is great. But I don't know if it's just like my radar of what I'm seeing now. I'm just seeing a lot of victims. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people jump in the comments and be like, oh, well, that person, they have an Australian partner, so that's easy for them. It's so much easier for them. What would you say to those fine people?
Look, trust me, I really appreciate that my partner is helping me to put her name on, because that's what she's doing, putting her name. But I'm getting the loans, I'm getting the hard jobs, I'm getting a lot. I'm not being ungrateful. Actually, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to purchase all of these properties without paying extra stamp duty. And even in one of them, I paid it because she was freaking out. And I'm like, look, no worries. I thought that I'm gonna have another property, but I'm not willing to pay this high price to lose my relationship for an extra property. It's gonna come at any time, you know. And that's the seesaw that you have to balance it up. Because you like the way that I start investing before I purchase my first property, I have to build up a life plan. It sounds extreme, but look, you have to be able to stomach the risk. It's gonna be a risk, and also what happens if this goes wrong, and what happens if this goes really wrong. What is the odds? But after 2020, trust me, I don't think that I will be able to feel as unsettled as I feel there. Now I'm in such a great position, regardless if I go my PR today, tomorrow, in 3 years, in 10, because that won't stop me. It's just an extra step that I have to get done. Yes, in terms of legalities, it helps, but you are dealing with a human. You are not dealing with numbers. You are not dealing with papers. You're dealing with humans. So it's not that easy as everyone think or say.
And the thing I would like to, I mean, I don't know your partner's income, but I would imagine they're probably not on sort of like 300,000-400,000. So it's not helping that much. Yes, it helps. I mean, it'd be nice. It would be nice. But no, so for anybody, you're on a fairly standard Australian sort of average household income. So it's not like, and that's why I'm just like, okay, and you're in the top, pretty much the top 1%. The amount of people that get to that 4 properties. Yeah, I think it's like it might be like 1% to get to 4 properties. Yeah, it's not trust. And I think it's a good time to bring this up. Ricky's asked this. Like he asked some good questions occasionally. I'll give him a little bit of a compliment there. But he said, how did you give your, because you sort of talked to it a little bit, but so I think this is going to be vital for a lot of people watching. How did you give and listening? How did you give your partner confidence to trust you buying multiple properties? Because I think that's the thing a lot of people struggle with.
Well, that's what is important for you guys, to build up your core values and your family values. If you're aligned with your family values and your core values, and your investment do not align with those ones, that's how you're going to feel the friction. So you have to establish that prior to invest. So obviously we're a family oriented, and as I said, like, oh man, I'm not going to be a chef like my whole life. Like, what am I going to do? So, so when you establish that, and then you put that emotion on the side of the table and say, okay, that's like the
big
core,
why, right? Yeah,
the big why, but also like the those core values that sometimes we forgot to put on the table, just because we are so logical in our own word and our rush and our numbers. After we pass that emotions, then we go, okay, how we're gonna play this role? You hate to get calls. I love calling agents. I love to call in people. Let's divide the roles. Let's make it like, this is your sort of thing and this is my thing. Then I do not add stress. And obviously numbers speak by itself, but sometimes it's not enough when you got an emotional partner. So you have to reassure them, whether it's her or him or whatever. And then kind of like, hey, this is a reminder, this is our core values, and this is a vehicle to continue with those core values. So I think it's a seesaw in that regards to convince sort of thing. When it's not convincing, it's working as a team to buy properties.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, because this is typically, what relationships are. It's people who are two very different backgrounds trying to come together, especially around finances. Finance is one of these deep embedded things that we all struggle. Well, some struggle more than others. But I do find that I speak to a lot of super logical investors that are math, numbers, things, and then their partner exactly the same, very emotional, very excited. Like, that's creative, right? They're creative. They come up with all these awesome ideas. But it's, how do you translate that? What are some tips for people that are out there that you can do? I mean, that one that you just spoke about, what are our core values and how do we translate this? Like, this is why we're doing this. It's connecting to a bigger picture, I guess. That's a great one. Any other kind of things that helped along the way?
I think it's very important, at least from my partner and I, to draft sort of like agreements. Believe it or not, sometimes we humans, but we're emotion, like we're looking for the reinsurance. Sorry, yeah, to feel reinsured.
Yes.
And then when you draft that decision making, homework together, again, the emotion is going to be on the air, but they're going to feel a little bit settled, because remember that sometimes like the anxiety and the unsettlement are coming from the unknown. But when you already put the cards on the table, the people usually that feel more emotional, like, okay, this is being said. In case that this happen, I know that the plan is going to be this. So as an example, I got a lot of Colombian friends reach out to me, and one, the wife or the husband do not want to buy, and the other one wants, so one the PPR or wants the IP or whatever. And one is super emotional about it. The other one is like super logical. Let's get out of this, whatever. And they end up crying because they cannot agree. And the relationship start to being on the rocks, because it's kind of like hard in that path. So this is a general advice. There's nothing like counselor or such things. But yeah, I always say, like, mate, like if you draft, like what is the things that make you feel unsettled, and putting it out of the table and trying to invest around those things. When that happens, you already got like an answer sort of thing. Like, you have to have like your decision making agreement already being there prior to happen, because when they happen, you already have something to fall back on. Do you know what I mean? And that's super important.
Yeah, it's ideal. I mean, look at this. As someone popped in the comment, you can see that Marci has dedicated a lot of time to developing mindset and inspiring stuff. Like, it's 100% true. Was there? I want to get on to talk about more of the portfolio and how that kind of came about. But was there any advice out there that you didn't take, and you're glad that you didn't? Was there any like, holy crap, back in retrospect now, that is terrible advice? I don't know. Maybe. If there's not, that's fine as well.
I heard a lot of people are investing here, investing there, especially in hot markets. Yes, you can get great growth. Don't get me wrong. If I wouldn't be a PR and I wouldn't earn 100K, mate, do not hesitate twice. I wouldn't be there. But we have to remember that investing, it needs to be tailored to your own circumstances and own household. Like, it's different what you earn, what I earn, my risk appetite, and a lot of things. That's why when you invest, you have to invest for yourself and what is your all things, like your why, etc. So I'm glad that I didn't take some of those advices, like why I shouldn't invest in certain areas that I did. And then I was a little bit patient. Yes, maybe I leave money on the table because I couldn't stomach 30, 40K extra pay for a property that now it wouldn't cost 80. But look, I'm still getting like very decent growth that is going to get me now with the same amount of money last year. I'm getting it now to my second and my third property. That, you know what I mean? It doesn't defeat the purpose. And sometimes when we speak too much, we forgo about the fundamentals. And I'm trying to be as fundamental as possible. Maybe call me granny, maybe call me like, oh, yes, you should do better. But I know that I'm not like racing against anyone. I'm racing against my own self. And that doesn't mean that I'm like, obviously, like, like conform with like, sort of like whatever. But at this stage in my own circumstances, with my own visa condition, with my own salary, that if I had the option to change it, obviously I wouldn't change it. Like, come on, who doesn't want to earn more money? Like, silly me, obviously.
Just to say to you, Marci, I think you're doing fantastically. Like 4 properties. So I think you bought your first in about 2021, 2022, maybe. Was it, or was it even 2023?
Tell us the story. Obviously, you don't have to give us the suburb and the specific location, but tell us the story. Like, how did you you end up chatting with the broker? So you finally found someone that could give you the finances. Then what?
So 2021, my partner and I didn't purchase it. It was everything under her name, her finance and everything, because I was an international student, but I was like getting through. Here in Adelaide.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know which. I'm so bad oriented. If it's southwest, I think it's West Adelaide. I don't know.
So Port Adelaide. Oh, is it out? Is it by any chance? I mean, I know we weren't talking suburbs, so just nod twice.
Anyway.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
West Adelaide
What
pretty
price
well.
Adelaide.
range? What price range was it?
That was 365, and today's day is like 530, 540.
Yeah,
And this is a townhouse because we couldn't stomach a house. It's a townhouse. Yeah. We couldn't stomach like a house because I was on a 50,000 salary. How am I supposed to imagine that's what I thought. Imagine if my interest rate, it wouldn't go up 7. We wouldn't be able to hold that PPOR. You know what I mean? So in that sense, I was trying to get as low risk as possible, especially because I didn't know what I was doing. Neither is she. So that was one. Then I have to wait for 2 years and a bit.
Can we unpack that first one a little bit, because I think there's probably a lot of wisdom in there. So some people, and I'm sure some people were saying, Marci, don't buy a townhouse, Like, you have to buy a house. And yes, whilst I love houses, at the same time, I think you had your own parameters. In 2021, Adelaide was super hot. Like I bought a development deal there in mid 2019, and even at the start of COVID, things were like, oh crap, this could go really bad. Like there was a little bit of an air of concern. And once you got past that sort of first couple of months into COVID, it was just really off to the races in Adelaide. But so people, if you'd have listened to people, you still have gained close to 200K plus. So what with that deal, did you what was it renting for, and how did the negotiation go? Like, what are that? Unpack as much or as little the detail, but I just want to give a bit of flavor because I'm sure you absolutely nailed it. But
well, sorry to disappoint you, but that's our PPOR. So no rent.
Okay.
That's our PPOR.
Cool. Okay.
Okay. I like that though.
It was really hard to find a rental. I thought that I have to go and sleep in a hostel, and then my partner's like, no, let's join forces, whatever. We thought that we overpay because we got another buyer that he put cash offer, but because he was bringing from overseas and he couldn't get it quicker enough, the real estate agent goes can you top up a little bit to this price to get it? And my partner do not hesitate to do that, and bam, because he was the emotional PPOR sort of home buyer, and I'm like, yeah, well, we got one. So yes, that's what it happened, and we thought,
by that time you had this investor lens on. So did you look at it from an investment perspective as well as a PPOR perspective? And how did you marry those? Because I mean, a lot of the times it doesn't really work out when people go investment and PPOR. And did you have that investment lens, or was it cool, rent's expensive, let's find a place, this looks like it stacks up, let's do it?
I think it was a little bit of both, because as an immigrant, very proud to be one, I always see the necessity of a rental. And I'm like, what is it going to be if it wasn't me in the next 3 or 4 years? A family won't come to here. It wouldn't be easier to find these sort of couples of friends that are going to rent this place out. And it's such a huge market, especially in my community, in Colombian community, that they wouldn't like to rent a place where we're going to live at the moment. You know what I mean? So yes, in the moment I was I need to every purchase that I'm going to go this purchase, it can suit a family. This purchase, it will suit my migrant community. They will have that sort of market. And that's how I think by then Adelaide will boom. And actually I said it to my partner. I said look, Adelaide become the new Melbourne, because when you come from overseas to study, they obviously spoke you a lot, Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, hey, come, Australian dream. And I'm like, this is oversaturated. Adelaide is gonna be the next one to bring migrants and pairs, because it was a lot of room in terms of visa, nomination, location, about nominations, about to get PR. And trust me, when you move people, and we are not talking about few, we're talking about heaps, and also by overseas people and internal as well, you can see the booms. And I wasn't as educated maybe, and I didn't have a lot of metrics that I got now. But for me,
Yeah.
that like isolated metric, it was like strong enough for me to go.
Yeah. The fundamentals were there. The macro people, there is a bazillion people coming to this little area, and I don't see enough buildings to support these people because they're already full. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
And sometimes like back of napkin data, right?
Yeah, and not only
not
only the overseas people was moving, it was my Australian friends. That's what it got me, because Australians usually the ones that I met in that moment, they didn't want to move, and when they forced it to move, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. They're moving." So, damn.
No, there was a good amount of. I mean, the property professor talks about gentrification, but the thing, I mean, having been to Adelaide a couple of times, like out there west, you've got those funky sort of barista breweries. You've got those nice little sort of cafes, and you got burgers. You got it's the vibe. I know that word, I use that word a lot, but it's sort of changing. You've got that fancy golf course on that. I think it's Royal Adelaide out in West Adelaide. But anyway, so Joe, you're about to ask. Well, you waited a year, waited a couple of years. Go on, Joe.
2 years. Yeah. So then you had the PPR. You now have equity. What were your thoughts of equity? Because you would have saved and saved and saved your asses off to get the deposit, right? To get the cash. How did that story look? Like, did you think, holy shit, we just made, I don't know, 150 grand or 100 grand? Did you use equity? Did you use cash to get the next one? Can you talk to that a little bit?
No, especially me, I got 2 jobs by then. When things started to reopen and all of that, I started getting 2 jobs and even every now and then an extra shift. And I started saving a lot. I didn't know what equity was by then, and I didn't know like the word in English like equity means until someone translated for me, and I'm like, that's equity, sweet. Then I start to reach out to different mortgage brokers and all of that. They always like, you have to wait for UPR, and then I start to reach out to 3 different migration agents, and they're gonna take you to 3 to 5 years, and I can't wait 5 years to invest. This is crazy. What am I gonna do? So I start saving for a year a bit to purchase some knowledge. That I did purchase some knowledge, and then I was like, I need to get ready. After I got that, after I get that knowledge, and then when I was ready. And when I say when I was ready, after Richard, so many brokers, and they going back and forth with banks and all of that, I asked my partner, would you be able to help me? I'm happy to put my borrowing capacity, but you have to help me to put your name in the title. I'm taking the risk. Look, if I go to Colombia tomorrow, you can have this. You want to own everything. Don't worry. But also, obviously, I'm not as silly. So we go to a lawyer, like a normal lawyer, and then we do, the legalities. No, that's Samaritan. Oh, darling, no. You are in love, but you are in business.
That's very good. It's a great way to put it. Okay, sweet. So education phase is now kind of over. You've gotten educated. How did that shift your the things that you were looking at? I imagine it moved from Adelaide to somewhere else, or was it still Adelaide? I mean, I guess 2021, 2022, Adelaide was actually still a really, really hot, good market to be buying in.
Mate, it's still technically the top performing. Yeah, sorry, go, Marci.
Yes, I tried to convince her, but no, it was I was like 2%. Come on, this is not going to happen ever again. Look, Colombia, look, no, nothing happened. So we missed out on that one. That's okay. But look, I gained a lot of experience and confidence, and that's how I start to build up all of this, all the mindset, all the core values, everything that we've been talking before. Shifted a lot. I'm not gonna lie. That sort of resource of information seriously changed me heaps. But obviously I have to adjust it to my own circumstances, because there were a lot of things that it wouldn't suit me in my point of time, in that moment, because I wasn't resident, my partner wasn't alone with the ride, it was a lot of things. But what I did by then, it was like tried out the markets like artificially. For example, I started doing the whole due diligence. I grabbed a property and I said, this is gonna be, so I like start saving in favorites and see how much is it growth. And I was start monitor like that artificial, like, purchase, la, la, la. And then I start doing the calculations and everything. I'm sorry, that's my calculations and everything. And then that's how I started to getting more confidence, because even when I wasn't able to purchase, I was practicing with a real like market. And that's what I did.
Simple as that.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's like I know we sort of sometimes we do throw out some, but that's literally like no. Look at your data, understand that, and sort of track if you can't buy, and if you can buy, you would have been buying those markets. So what did that sort of? So you waited. So you got to, was it about 2023, and then you picked up number 2? Did you? When was the next one you were able to pick up?
My first investment property was in 2023, and that's what I went like nuts, because I purchased like 2 properties in the same week. As soon as my mortgage brokers are like, oh, okay, you might be able to purchase, and can I purchase another second one? Yeah, we can try now. So worst case scenario, pull it out with finance. That's okay. I will try it. You have to work now. How many days on settlement? This one. Okay, let's do it. Vamos. Let's do this. And then it went through like the 2 of them. Poor man has to work really hard for me. So I sent him like, a card like with thank you, and I'm going to meet you one day in Sydney. I haven't met him actually. I'm not even know how he looked like, but he was amazing. So yeah, very, yeah. So
that's crazy. That's crazy. I tell you what's so funny is that attitude of I can just pull out on finance, or I can just pull out under the pest and building, is it's not risky as such, but it is risky. Like, how did you think about that decision? Like it sounds like, oh my gosh, what do you mean you're going to pull out on finance? That's you can't do that. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can just get a bank letter and.
Look, worst case scenario, I will lose, let's say, I don't know, 6 grand or 10 grand. But you know what? At least I know I had
out under the finance clause.
Yeah, I know. But let's say the worst case scenario, like, I don't know, they want to be a smart ass. Like, yeah, I don't know. Things can happen. Let's make it the worst case scenario. I lost my 10 grand, but look, at the end of the day, I didn't go all the way through to settlement, and then I'm really screwed. What am I gonna do? Where am I gonna get the money? Like, it's less risky, and that's why you put those conditions to back up yourself in case that something happened. Oh, I don't know. I got a baby. Oopsies. No, I can't. I need to pull out of the investment. Like, that's why you have to protect yourself, and you have to know what you're doing. If you have no idea what you're doing, then it's risky. I don't think that it's risky when you go knowledge and action together, but it's riskier when you have no idea what you're doing and then you take the action. That is the same in Spanish. I don't know if it translates quite well, but it's like there is something that is very risky that is like someone educated with what is it like? When he wants to take action, like when he wants to be proactive. Like, instead of someone that has the knowledge and just wait and then take the action.
Yeah. I think it would sound much better in Spanish, but I might not understand.
But yeah, let's
I just wanted to bring this up. So this is young Ricky. So he said, as a personal friend, Marci, here's a fun and cute fact. She works as a chef in a restaurant, sneaks out toilet breaks to do diligence checks. I mean, he posted this comment, and he said,
"Wow, who says that?" Hopefully, my boss is not here.
No. Well, Ricky, I mean, yeah, maybe we'll have to delete that comment.
Who was that one?
That was Ricky.
But that's true.
That was Ricky.
Bloody steamboat.
Oh God! Sometimes I said that I got diarrhea, and I was like, "Oh man, really bad." Like, off you go. And I have to flash like 3 times. This is very personal. No, I use any excuse.
I just love that we just glossed over that 2 properties in 1 week. Like I want to sort of, I know there was the finance, and we'll talk to that. Somebody said could you please ask Marci how she was able to service the monthly repayments of 4 loans on a 100K salary? So the salary might be a touch more than 100K when you combine it. I mean, it's not too much.
No, that's
more than
combined.
100.
Like, but collectively that slightly above, but not like that's the thing with this. We just don't want to say what your salary is on the interwebs.
No.
But
no.
it's
But you know what?
It's crazy, like how much you've been able to do it. But this is a good point. Like, how do you service 4 loans? How do you think about the negative cash flow? Because a lot of the time when, this day and age, when interest rates were 2%, it was like, great, positive cash flow. Now we're at 6 and it's now trending down, which is fantastic. But there is negative cash flow that property investors hold. So it's kind of gone from great, you must be so rich with property investing. It's like, well, actually now you might be in a little bit of a world of hurt. Like, how do you think about that and manage that?
She uses Deal Crunch calculator. She was actually telling me before the show, she had a look at the video. And she was like,
you use the Deal Crunch calc? Well, okay. Well,
yeah,
you use the Deal Crunch calculator?
Yeah. Hang on. So that's so good. Trust me. I used to pay between $1,500 to $2,000 per month for my school. When 4 properties across the year cost me $5,000, I think between $5,000 to $6,000. That's nothing to me.
For the 12 months.
So that's how
not monthly.
For the 12 months, exactly. That's how much it cost me. All my properties, in one of the properties is $15 positive cash flow now. The other one, I'm still like, I like the girl, so that's why we haven't put the rent up, and my partner really likes her.
What?
So the girl who lives there, she's really nice. She's a nurse. So it's our tenant. Yeah. Okay. So that's why. But if we put it up to the market value, that the rent market value wouldn't be positive. But also she's been a good tenant. So we've been. So anyway, coming back to the point, that doesn't
It's me.
Yeah, it's Jeff. One thing we're just talking about this Deal Crunch calculator. If anyone wants to download it, I'll pop the link in the comments. You just hit download free Deal Crunch, you hit make a copy, and then this gives you everything that you need from a deal side of things, like automated calculations to work out stamp duty, automated calculations to work out if you're positive or negative, automated processes to work out how much capital growth this property has had. Like this property here has had 10% annual compound growth. How much am I negative if I get 600? Like this is a great point, actually. Look, if you have $650 a week rent or $600 a week rent, so only $50 difference, this is the net cash flow. So like that's a conversation you have to have with your partner and be like, look, I know she's a nurse and she's you love her, but like that's costing a lot. Like that's $4,000 that we're missing out on. But you guys, it's funny that you get access. It's funny that you're talking about that. We only just talked about that. 500 or 600 people have commented that they want access to it. So I'll share this link. I'll share this link to you. So yeah, equity release calculator, positive or negative, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So I send that. But I just want to flag that because I said
the internet again, Joe. But
I said that I would give it to people.
So pretty much the way that I do is like before I purchase the property, I see if I can hold it if I lose my job tomorrow. That's how the way that I'm thinking. Because I can happily lose my job today, like touch wood that I don't. But if I lose it tomorrow, plus all my expenses and everything, I will still be able, even if my rents can go up, to hold those properties. And that's the beauty. Like, that's it. Even if I can't buy anymore, let's say I can't buy anymore tomorrow, with the properties that I go, with the strategy that I go, with the exit and interest and exit strategy that I go, I will be able to retire with the passive income that I want in 13 years. Around that.
13 or 30?
No, not 30. No, I don't have time for that. I need to travel. Okay. Yes, I need to travel. I need to go back to Colombia. No. Yeah. One's free.
Yeah, no. what I wanted to... sorry. You go.
Yeah, no, go. So we're now talking about borrowing capacity. So you bought two. So you bought one in 2020, 2021. You then bought the next one in 2023, and then you bought the next one. They're both two in the same week. And then you've just recently, when was the next purchase? When was the next purchase done? And then we'll chat to borrowing capacity.
Then the next one we purchased in October. Another one that was in Victoria
this year,
October. Yeah, last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of price ranges were these? Like, what kind of price range? So we had 360, was it?
360 for the townhouse. Yep. In
Adelaide, and then the other one was like 295. The other one, it was 490. That one, I have to ask help from my partner. I couldn't I sell her Victoria, I sell her Melbourne, I sell her hey, look, we have to get in. I love selling the emotions. You love Adelaide, I love Melbourne, so anyway, so a little bit of psychology.
Number two.
Oh, yeah. Number three was Melbourne. Yeah.
Number three. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And Melbourne in 2023.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's my second love of my life, man. I love it. Not all Melbourne. Some focus.
Can we give a flavor? Are we talking West Melbourne, East Melbourne? I don't know if we can give away that much. No, we can't give away that much.
This is Melbourne. This is Melbourne. The CBD. At the top like this.
Okay.
North.
I think I might know where
Melbourne.
This might be, but anyway. I don't know. Good stuff. I like it.
Maybe.
But number two, though. Sorry, go.
There you go. Number two. So you bought in two different states at two different times?
Yes, I bought one in regional South Australia, the other one in regional Queensland, then in Victoria, and now I'm coming back to South Australia just because. Why not? It suits that better in terms of a lot of things, and it's why not? And after that, I will be able to buy one more, but I don't want to exhaust my borrowing capacity. Yep. So what am I going to do? Let's go to the infinity borrowing capacity. Oh. No, I'm joking. No, we'll wait for that.
It's interesting you say, because we had Aaron Chrissy David, so subscribe, check out the podcast last week. But he was talking about cash flow being the major restriction. It's just interesting because you're not on household income of 200K plus. You're not on that ridiculous amount.
I wish.
So, and he says, what he's saying there is kind of coming true. You're saying that the limiting there is cash flow because, you've got stacks of equity and you could access that. But it's then, can you then continue to stomach how much is it impacting your life? Being able to go out to the cafes, go to Colombia maybe as well. Do you want to do that to your life? So you need to sort of think strategically. And it is not necessarily in infinite borrowing capacity or unlimited. But you can, even on your sort of income of household income of that 100K thereabouts, there are ways to make it happen, but you don't want to sort of put yourself under too much stress. So
100%.
So on that borrowing capacity, that's a little bit maybe a personal question. I don't know. Is that personal? Let me know if it's too personal and we can kind of just sidestep it. But
so the question is, where is your borrowing capacity now? How do you think about borrowing capacity and where's it at?
At the moment, I can buy another property if I can get another loan for 350, coming up with 20% deposit with the 350. Because my properties, that's the other thing, and that's the other trick that you haven't heard from me. But obviously, I use my mortgage brokers. I love them, but also I try to get I live close to a CBA and a couple banks. And what I used to do, you can't forget that investing is about human connection. So I used to go when I wasn't ready to ask them, hey, what are the tricks? How can I get this borrowing capacity? How can I get this? How can I get that? What sort of wording do I need to use? I don't speak good English, playing second language. That's good. What sort of wording can I put in here to extend, obviously in a very responsible way? How can I extend this? So then you get to me important people within the bank, and they'll start giving you those golden nuggets. I know that this is not for everyone, but at the point in time, I gotta do what I gotta do, and then
it's amazing because You're going straight to the source, right? Like who knows better than the people that are giving out the loans? Not always the case. Obviously, if you just talk to the lady at the front desk, she doesn't really know, that she's just more of a sales rep than anything. But if you can chat to the person that's in the back that looks after home loans, there's so much advice that they will give you. And then they'll be like, yeah, but off the record, the way to get around this rule is to, declare that this, and this. Awesome. What was
and you
not
grab a
even so
coffee.
much off the record, Joe. Definitely not off the record. I mean, it's
some of
more
the
about kind of. Sorry, go.
I feel like you were going to say it, Jeff.
So for me, it's about asking, well, how can we make this happen? And a lot of people are afraid to do that because they don't have that sort of. It's an authority figure. You go to a bank, and a lot of people have that. Oh, it's money, and these people are big, scary people. It's like real estate agents. When in reality, a real estate agent is simply a person. They have bad days. They put their pants on one leg at a time. They have all those sort of hang-ups that we all have as well. And you just actually connect them, as Marci said, and say, hey, look, I'm starting on this game. I'm not 100% where I need to go, what I need to do. Like, how can you kind of, and look, and that's similar to the conversation we have about calling up people and having those conversations. Look, 9 out of 10 people say, look, mate, or look, sorry, I can't help you out today. I've got 4 meetings coming up in 20 minutes. I can't do it. But then you'll have that person who'll say, look, actually, I appreciate you asking me that question. Like, I've helped a lot of kind of investors on their journey. I really love doing that. And they'll give you the time of the day, like every day of the week. And then they'll sort of appreciate you sort of taking your time to come and see them. That's probably the person I feel you might have approached.
No, and you have to rock up with something, like they're giving you your time, like give it a coffee, like show them like like, it's important, like what they're giving you, because they stop like looking at other clients that are really serious. For me, that they know that I'm a questioning at all time. And then I go to my mortgage broker and I say, look, I'm not sure, but I heard about this. I look at on Facebook, can you cross path it? And I give all those worries to my mortgage broker. And then my mortgage broker do his magic. And then that's how I got the 2 loans with no lender banks or something like that. I don't know how.
Non-bank lenders, yes, third-tier lenders.
And now I got there. I mean, the major banks, because the important thing is to get in. When you get in, then you can navigate differently.
Nice. I want to hear about this 4th purchase. Before we do that, we do have a new sponsor of this group, which is going to be pretty interesting. So we've got to run that ad. So let's see what this happens.
Everywhere you look, someone else is making money in property except for you. Your mate, he just bought a house. It's already gone up $100,000. There's some bloke on Facebook. He's bragging about pulling in a 7% rental yield. Meanwhile, you're stuck scrolling real estate and domain, confused as hell, and having no idea about where to start. Or maybe you're that mate that's got $100,000 in equity. You have a few properties under your belt, but you feel stuck. You're unsure about how to scale without over-leveraging and not knowing what the next right move is. So why does it feel like everyone else has some kind of secret that you're missing out on? It's because they do. There's a reason some people keep stacking properties while others sit on the sidelines stacking excuses. There's a reason why some investors buy under market value while others pay too much. There's a reason why investors know the hot spots before there's any heat. And there's a reason that some people build $150,000 in passive income while others just spend years thinking about it. And it comes down to knowledge. And that's exactly why Jeff Miles and I, Joe Tucker, created the Level Up Property course to hand you the exact step-by-step process that we've used to buy over $100 million worth of property in today's market. We've built Australia's largest property investment community with over 80,000 members, and we help everyday investors secure hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity, all without wasting years of their life trying to figure it out the hard way. Making an uneducated decision on the biggest purchase in your life is just gambling with your future.
Stop it. Get some help.
And this isn't just another how to buy property course. Let's be clear though, this course isn't free. What? And neither should it be. This is our life's work. We've spent over 100 hours each on this course alone. Oh, babe. Okay, video number 3. Number 4 with million does... Fuck. Done. We've got decades of experience, millions of dollars in deals distilled into a repeatable process that you can take away for yourself. If you're looking for free advice, there's plenty of noise out there. You can go and find that if you'd like. But if you want real, actionable, step-by-step guided process that works in today's market, then this investment is going to change everything for you. By the time that you finish this course, you will have full confidence. You'll have every tool that you need to build an amazing portfolio if you act on it, right? Which is why we have mentoring built in. So we kick you up the butt to make sure that you're kicking your goals. So the real question is, how much longer are you going to watch everyone else making money in property before you jump in and start playing the property game properly? Because the sooner you start winning.
There we go. I like you had me kicking these people up the butt as well, because I am the accountability. I'm like the property personal trainer. So no. I think what happened to Polizzi? We got to do that as well. So
yes, we do.
Where are we going next? So the property level up is so hot right now. So I want to know property number. Are we talking to property number 3 or 4? Sorry, number 4. Because I want to know what's next. So you're going to take over the Adelaide development space. But number 4 is pretty fresh in the can. So this is maybe exclusive. Ooh. I don't know. Can we say it's exclusive? Probably yes. So how did you go from number 2 and 3 in a week? And then you've probably had the cooler jets a little bit. Unpack that for us, please, Marci.
Yeah, and actually, just before you answer that, just to add on a little bit, has it changed? Has the type of property that you're buying now changed as the education has changed? But what is number 4?
Well, now, as you said it, like part of my strategy is doing development. I'm learning how to do it. I'm working with people that are like taking me as an internship sort of thing. And then after like a period of time, I will be ready to go. And now my strategy shift a little bit, because the majority of the properties that I'm like selecting, all of them has like subdivision potential. Actually, one of my old properties from last year, I'm ready to subdivide. And this one that I'm in the process to buy, I already submitted like the council approvals and all of that, because I'm happy just to do it from one.
Did you do it all yourself, or have you got a town planner?
No. I go our best friend. I just don't want to I don't want to market in anyone. Yeah.
You don't want to blow him up. You don't want to get him too busy.
Yeah, no, but I'm allowed to say his name. Yeah, no.
Yeah, Ross. Yeah, Roscoe. He's been on the show a couple of times. Yeah, I'm in an accountability group.
You're in an accountability group.
I am with Ross. I kick him up the butt
there
sometimes.
You go.
Anyway.
We've all
got talk about what we do on Monday night.
Everyone up the butt. Jesus.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you're in the process of getting a development done on one of those properties. And did you think about development for that? Like when you bought that one, did you think about development? Were you like, oh my gosh, I have to get a development potential property? Obviously the 4th one, it sounds like, yes, it was, but for the one that you actually bought, or that was just a happy coincidence? There's Maddie Brand as well.
It was a happy accident.
Happy with
it was a really happy accident. But also what I like the most is like some real estate agents, they know like, yes, this has subdivision potential. And then I'm like, oh yeah, no, great, sounds good. I thought at the back of my head, because that was something that I was thinking of with the property meetups that we hold here in Adelaide. I heard a lot of like Ross and a lot of people, and I'm like, in my case, in my own circumstances at today's day, only buy and hold and wait until rents catch up and all of that. I can't like wait such a long time to try to not speed up, because sometimes the speed is not good over like quality, but to try to have like, that balance in both, I have to do an extra bit, which in this case is development and subdivision. So obviously Rose is walking me through a lot. And before I purchased this property, obviously I did my own due diligence and buy and hold. doing the suburb, like, selection and all of those things. And then I love it, like the real estate agents don't know. And they're like, no, this is not subdividable. And I'm like, actually it is, but I didn't say anything. I was like, yes, keep spruiking that. That's excellent. That's more opportunity for me. Then I contacted Ross and the team and everyone. I was like, mate, can I subdivide this? He's like, yeah. Let me run like a quick DD. And then he said, yeah, sweet. You can do like 1 into 3 or 1 into 2. And I want money. 1 into 3. Yeah. You're going to like just, and I was like, perfect deal. Boom. Offering everything in, talking with council now. Like, you know what I mean? So that's
exactly how the conversation would have went, Ross. He's very nonchalant. He's like, oh yeah, we'll just do a 1 into 4. It's like, what? I thought we were going to do a 1 into 2. Like he's so underspoken. I'm just like, man, you're an absolute gun. But anyway, not to plug Ross too much, but he does make it happen.
He does make it happen. So we're gonna take over Adelaide. That's it. I told him if he's not taking over Adelaide, I'm taking over Adelaide, and he can like jump to the right.
So I just wanted to, we'll have to throw to our second sponsor probably at some stage, Joe, but they're going to have to make the show 2 hours. But no, I wanted to know, because we sort of glossed over a little bit. You said you wanted to accelerate a little bit, but not go too crazy. But how did you, maybe you said it, and I'm sorry if you did, and I was sort of focused on the comments, so I'm sorry. But what I wanted to kind of, what was the key driver from saying, okay, now I want to do, it's because your borrowing capacity was sort of tapped and you needed to unfree some of that equity? And what was that conversation like with the broker or the person you was the lender? Did you just sort of say, okay, what do I need to do to get that sort of 1-2 properties ahead? Is that how the conversation went down, or what did it play it out for us, please?
It's so important that you surround it, and I think I said it before. It's very important that you surround it to a very good team, a qualified team that they know what they're doing, how they do it, and how make the things happen in the most obviously safe way for your own circumstances. So I think I talk more with my accountant and broker than even my own family sometimes. Every movement that I'm gonna make within my portfolio or our portfolio as a household, I have to check with them, because if I'm gonna try to speed up and then I would jeopardize my next move, then it's not good enough, So you have to be in contact with them to be able to see, as Aaron said, like last week, I was able to release heaps of equity, but I'm releasing one at a time. I'm doing the split loan.
Oh no, I think we might have lost the Joe.
Yeah, I thought that was me. Okay.
No, we're here. So Joe,
Hello?
Back. Sorry, that was going to be awkward. Joe and I having a conversation together. You're back.
Sorry.
Excellent. We didn't block you, Marci, I promise.
Okay. What was?
No. There's a lot of comments going on about deal crunch calculators and stuff in the thing.
Anyway, so yes, the broker, accountant, they're the one to go. In my case, I went to my broker. So as Aaron said, like last week, instead of release all the equity at once, because I got a good amount of equity, we just do it like by chunks. We're doing it like in a split loan. We are like, doing bits and pieces. I heard in one podcast, like doing that sort of like, like finance engineering that you have to get done, because you have to be clean and as clean and as organized as you can. And that's like literally that's pretty much it. That's what I'm doing.
Getting as organized as possible. Well, it's interesting that you've kind of like started to. You're just building, like the first purchase built upon the second, and then the third then has subdivision potential, and now you're going deliberately chasing now deals on the subdivision point of view, just because you want to keep forcing this value and forcing this equity. And the cool thing is like, you're not buying $700, $800, $1 million properties here. We're talking 300, 350, 500, 550, 600. Actually, what was the purchase price for this most recent one?
It was 315, 315.
Oh, so you went back down.
Yeah. Then I reduced it under building and pest inspection clause. And then evaluation, we haven't done like the proper valuation. It's just like one of those valuations that the broker send you.
Online one.
It came up like as 355, 360, but it was a medium confidence. So it was more expensive in the high confidence. Yeah, exactly. But
the middle one is, but it's what the bank thinks it's worth, and that's a big thing actually. Like that's a point that I see a lot of people thinking, like, oh my gosh, I need to this. I would never pay, $580 for this deal. It's like it doesn't matter. The valuer thinks that the valuer believes that to be the case, and between the time that you buy it and then when you sell it, the market doesn't matter. It's not what the market thinks. It's not what buyers will think. It's not what sellers will think. It's trying to entertain the valuer. So how do you make it as appealing to the valuer as possible? Like I was chatting with a investor today, and he's doing a big renovation, and he's like, "Oh, Joe, I've just bought this 4-bed, 2-bath property. Actually, 4-bed, 2-bath property, and we bought it for $615. It's now revalued at settlement for $685,000. He's like, great, let's boost this by doing a crazy renovation on it. I'm like, no, there's no need to do a renovation on it. It's fine. Do the little bits, paint it because it needs it. Carpets. You don't need to fundamentally shift it. Now, if it was a 3-bed that he can convert into a 4-bed, absolutely do that. But you don't need to. All you need to do is entertain the valuer. So if you're going to get a desktop valuation, they're not going to see the paint. They're not going to see any of that. They're just going to value it at that high number. So I don't know. You should think about the valuer a little bit more than you usually do as a property investor. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So have you started to recycle the equity now and started using equity as deposits? How has that changed things as well? Like, how do you think about equity now?
Oh, it's my darling. I love it. I wish I could have more and I couldn't. I entered to a different market, but look, it is what it is. And I'm so happy to have it. So we're going to be a great company in the next 13 years until we don't need each other and the relationship needs to go. That's how I see equity at the moment.
That is. If your partner's watching this, just
debt.
What I wanted to say there was it sounds like you have a healthy relationship with debt and all that. How does, I suppose, the dynamic with the partner, is she kind of like, oh, look, I think we're comfortable where we're at, in terms of, is that kind of driving that conversation or a little bit?
100%. There is a lot of like, what do we need to have this many, or why this, why that? And then we bring it back. Okay, what do we want? The way that we want. Let's go back to the core value. Let's go to the relationship, that why we doing this. When you had a whole, a very hardcore why, and what are you going to do after you achieve your why, then is how things start to stack up. And that's how I was telling at the beginning, the compound effect is always working towards to that. It's always working. It's always there. So look, if we want to achieve this and that, so we should be able to stomachate this and that. So for example, I'm going to build, and that's something that I said it before, I need to build, and that's something that I'm going to do with my portfolio, a childcare for my migrant people. Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, what? We build a childcare center.
Yes.
In Australia or back in Colombia?
No. Here, because there are a lot of migrants, especially I'm just talking about just Colombia at this stage, that they come here, they just happen to have a baby, or they come for a baby for a better life, and they don't have settling. I know that we choose to come here, but we are we don't. We've been moved sometimes for different circumstances from our country. So if we were a choice, we wouldn't be here, but here we are. So we have to move forward. And sometimes it's really hard that they're in a very hard situation, whether they can, if you work, who's going to look after the baby, and now we take on another job, how we're going to pay the childcare, and so on and so forth. And that is a very vulnerable community.
Probably don't have family out here either as well. So yeah, it's a tough situation.
It is a very tough, and I work in a childcare, and I did a lot of work around it. And I think if we build up a good community, financially and health, how to teach them how to eat and all of those sort of things from the basis, which is our children, we're going to move forward as a very good, strong society. So that's what I want. And that requires money. You cannot pay with feelings. So how are we going to do it? It's through property. So we need to get there. So.
I love you have it
Hey, with
mostly
feelings.
mapped out, and you're very nonchalant about it. Like you're just like, I'm going to do this and this, and it's just going to happen, because I feel like the vision that you have in your mind, whatever vision you have, you just make it happen. Like you came to Australia, you had those challenges, you bought the properties, overcoming a lot of the things that a lot of people would say, no, I can't do it. And now you're going to build this childcare center. I don't know when, but I'd love to stay in touch and see. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's, maybe I'm over promising, under delivering, but no, I think it sounds like great. A pretty bit of a passion, but so Joe, we're going to run to questions. Where are we at? Or
I want to hit some. I want to hit some of these. Some of the questions. There's some great questions in there, and if anyone has any questions, throw them in there. For you, Marci, I have a question around there was a great question that popped up around the migrant mentality. But before we jump into questions, we just got to run this, and then we'll.
Oh, Jeff, I wish there was 3 investing books that covered everything property.
Oh, Joe, there is. Steve has 3 books now.
That I do, guys. I've got 3 books now. You probably don't even have to follow this group anymore. Just kidding. You want to keep seeing and hearing from me, of course, so stay involved. But in all seriousness, if you want to get the full picture of investing, residential, commercial, and development, these 3 books have you covered for the fundamentals. For OzProp members, here's the best part. I'm giving these books to you for free. Just cover the postage and I'll send them right to your door. Go to policyproperty.com or click the link below and get your copies today. You can also get all my spreadsheets, checklists, and resources free on my website. Happy reading, gang.
Yeah, Polizzi loves a good giveaway. He's in airports every day of the week giving books away. I just imagine him like dressing up. But anyway, so interesting one. There's been heaps of great questions. I think the one I tried to, because I unfortunately had to proud of you, Marci. Yeah, that was from Ricky. So I think it was one is, what is about the migrant mindset that kind of is most challenging? Was that the question, Joe? Was something along the lines?
Yeah, that was the one.
Yep.
Did you lead it?
So that's yeah, I had. We're running out of space for questions, Joe. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, it was exactly that. Like, have you got anything? Have you? What would you say to what would you say to Marci, migrant Marci, who just landed in Australia, who's got some dreams of achieving something in Australia? Like, what advice would you give her?
Oof. Well, to start with, get to know
Don't
first
call me
the
migrant
culture.
Sorry, go.
Get to know the culture, what you're getting into. Then it's gonna facilitate to navigate the systems better. 2, please learn the language next time. Don't jump into that bus like that. Utilize yourself a little bit. 3, have clear goals. If you have clear goals and paths, everything comes along way easier, even when there are financial or emotional or family obstacles that it can delay a little bit, but always keep in mind that you're gonna get there. You have to get there because that's your goal. You're not setting up goals by emotions. You're setting a goal because you have that burning desire to achieve them. And once when you achieve them, which is a little bit what it happened with a lot of my friends, it's like permanent residency here is just a bridge to achieve what we want to achieve if we were to have these opportunities in our country. So what's next? Yes, you achieve this. Yeah, financially free. You are this. But what is next? We're humans. We have to be in connection with community. You have to be able to see what is the path after you achieve those goals. So it's sort of those things that I would say that to her, do not forget your core values. Don't forget that you are in a community with humans.
So what if you didn't have that? What would happen?
If I didn't have that?
Yeah.
What do you mean? If I came to Australia without any clear goals in anything?
or the community, Joe?
Sorry.
I just see how it's a stupid question. I just see, because the answer would be fuck all. I would just cruise along. I would just cruise along like nothing matters. And I wouldn't invest, and I wouldn't take these sacrifices, and I wouldn't take these risks that you are taking, because I know we've talked a lot about like, oh my gosh, I've come to this country and I've achieved so much, but you've sacrificed so much as well. But it's that taking the time to think, well, how do I help my Colombian brothers and sisters look after their family? One of the things that I've noticed here is that people are needing childcare centers. And yes, that financially helps you as well, because, you know, you're creating a business on the back of that. But if you can create something that then ties into a big why, if you don't have it, is probably what, like, if you don't have a massive why, is probably why you're not achieving the goals that you have. So you've got to have a reason behind why you're doing it. And it's one of these bullshit things that takes hours. Like, it takes a day, right, to sit down and write all this stuff out and dig deep and ask yourself these questions of, well, what is important to me? What are my core values? What are we trying to achieve as a partnership, as, you know, two people going through this world? I don't know. I just think you've got it so nailed down that it's so clear that you've achieved your goals, and it's no shit. Like, exactly like what Jeff just said. Oh yeah, we're going to chat to you in 3 years and we're going to have a childcare center. And I believe it as well, because you've got it so clear, but people just don't have that why. So that's what I'm taking away from this.
Yeah. What I asked I met a lot of people like that, like whether like any nationality. And I always ask them, like, what kind of life do you want to have? Like, living in a cruising mode is amazing. I lived in a cruising mode. Who doesn't? Like, you know, we're allowed to live, sort of thing, but it's only so much that you can live in a cruising mode and say, like, okay, now it's time for me to take 100% responsibility of what I need to take responsibility, because it's so easy to say, for example, sorry, I just got late because I got stuck in traffic. But, you know, simple things. I'm not taking responsibility 100% because it was my fault that I arrived late. It wasn't the traffic. I should have left earlier. When we start shifting our mind in that regards, like taking and owning 100% responsibility for yourself and your actions, what kind of life do you want to have? Is become easier, I think, in my, like, respectfully, obviously, in my own mind.
Yeah. And I suppose you can either have the easy life now and the hard life later, or you can have the hard life now and the easy life later. Like, both options are, like, choose your hard. Which one do you want? I think that's important.
Which is fine.
Somebody's asking, and we won't, it is rude to ask most people's age, particularly ladies, what decade of life, you're probably younger than both, maybe not younger than Joe, you're definitely probably younger than me. Are you kind of in your 20s, 30s? Like, whereabouts are you at?
I look, I don't mind. I don't want to say bad words. I arrive at the age of 24, and then I'm 32 at the moment. I'm turning 33 in May. Yeah,
that's amazing. Like, give a fire emoji in the comment. I mean, that's a bit like, I'm just astounded by all that you've achieved. Like, but I know some sort of late 30s people, and they just have.
Well, it's not even the age, right? It like when she started was like when you arrived, so it's not even 20s or 30s. It's like a couple of years. You know that you were in Australia, that you bought your first property, and made it happen. Yeah.
I love this question from Ricky as well. He's
oh God.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. It's not a. He said, "What is one habit you can tell a newbie?" Anyway, maybe that's how you spell newbie. Doesn't matter.
Person. So someone just starting out.
Yeah, to start shaping their mindset. Like, what is those? Remember back to 8 years ago or 9 years ago.
Look, one, I love this saying about Aaron. If you're not paying, you don't have a saying. If you're not paying for my education, if you're not paying for my path, I don't give any coins from your opinions. So you have to, like, you know, a lot of people knows a lot of things, but they don't know nothing. Like, everyone has an opinion, but they don't know what they're talking about because we are humans trying to survive in this chaos. Like, I understand. So, and I know that they're not doing it in a bad faith. So first thing, block the noise. If they're not paying for education, for anything about you, look, I know it's a good faith, but shut up and let me do my thing. Two, if you can't afford to pay courses or subscriptions or whatever, YouTube is a free university. You can get into YouTube and your time off. Remember the compound effect. I always said it, it's always working. So always take your extra, time that you think that you don't have, but we always have to get there. I used to track everything when I just started in 2020, track my time, track my coins, track my pennies, track everything to the point that finally I was so well aware what I was doing with all of that, because time is wealth and wealth gives you time. So it goes in both ways. So when you start tracking something, you are aware of it. And then obviously I go massively on books. So that wouldn't be like the first habits that I will give it to that new person getting into this into the market, and ask a lot of questions. The worst case scenario that they would think is like, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, maybe they're right. That's what you're asking. Otherwise you wouldn't ask. Don't be afraid. You're gonna have good comments, bad comments, but look, who cares? You just
getting out there and getting in the ring. Like, I think that's most important. And the thing I wanted to pull out from you is, it's kind of you said it was about like I've forgotten what it is, but for me it was about sort of taking that action, like being accountable for yourself. Like, actually that's what it is. What gets measured gets managed. So if you want to improve your weight situation, for example, I'm not saying people need to, or whatever, or you want to improve your finances, you want to improve your career, it's like, okay, well, figure out what it is. What does that mean? Because I want to improve my weight doesn't mean anything in isolation. Or want to improve my finances. It's like, do you want to save 50K this year, or do you want to save 10K this year, or do you want to just stop spending $5 a day at the coffee thing, and start taking the compound effect, getting back to the Darren Hardy sort of approach, and you'll start to see, and it'll snowball, and the momentum will grow. So. And you've sort of seen from your momentum, it's absolutely snowballing down the hill now, and it's just going to keep picking up.
Just finally, the way that I see it is, for example, people are not aware. It's like, for example, if we know that we're going to have the 6 donuts today and we're going to put like 10 kilos tomorrow, the answer, it wouldn't be no thank you today. Happen the same with health, with finance, and all aspects in our life. But because we don't see it like so rapidly, we don't see it so fast, that's what we like taking, like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter today, this coffee or this or that. So I always think like, oh, if I do this and tomorrow this is the result, would it be the same answer? Yes, no, here you go.
Another really great book is the Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Like, if anybody wants to read, I don't know if you've read it, but yeah, if you haven't, I'd jump on it, Marci, but you probably don't need it because you already do it yourself. But it's a great one for people to start. It's just kind of visually like that 1% each day. You'll be 1% better or 1% worse. And then you've got to make the decision. Like you might miss it. You might not get up at 5 a.m. and go for that run, go for that walk around the block. But each day you do, you'll get 1% better. And at the end of the year, you'll be 365% better, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where to next? Because I want to know, so you've got the childcare, the big vision there to help out the Colombian community. What do you want to? Do you want to buy some more development deals? Like, what's the plan, or what do you have in Marce World and Marce and Partner World for the next kind of couple of years?
Well, first of all, I would like to change my career, obviously, but I have to wait like a little bit of time because of my visa conditions. Yeah. But when I go like the green light, obviously I would like to go to the path to real estate development. I'm still like in 2 minds, but I feel very passionate about development, if I'm being honest. And Rose has been an amazing mentor to me. I need to give a credit, and Nathan. So look, yes, I think at this stage, what I'm going to do is restructure what I've got to move to the next level, let's get that infinity borrowing capacity power, maybe, who knows. That all depends of my new job and what my accountant says and how happy my mortgage broker is. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what's next in terms of how to escalate the portfolio within the same range, like what I'm like ranging in terms of salary, or how much do I need to bump it up? Because I got another project like coming up.
Yeah, that's such a great point. You're not future planning it too far out, right? Like you've got your end goal, but you're not saying, well, Jeff's asking you what's next, and you're like, well, I'm not there yet, right? I don't need to worry too much about the minor details because I don't need to do that just yet. Like property investing goes in seasons. Like you bought your PPR, you had to wait 2.5 years. You then were like, cool, I can buy 2 deals, boom, boom. And then you had to wait another 1.5 years or so. Great. Then you're ready to buy another one. Now you're in that kind of waiting period. Now all you've done is just turned back and said, boom, education. Now what else can I learn while I'm waiting for all of my finances to get to that point that I can then pull a trigger on something? That's the best attitude that you can have. I love that. That's the right way to think about it. Well done. Easy as that.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Gurav. He loves debt recycling. So he says, "Is debt recycling part of your strategy, Marci?" I think she already nodded.
Of course. What kind of questions is that? Yes, of course it is. But I have to wait a little bit, as I said before, because of the structure and the way that I'm structuring the loans, to get like a little bit of extra money, and then obviously do not hit as much my borrowing capacity. So it's a little bit like waiting time, which I don't want, but it's better for my borrowing capacity in terms of like with this job and keep it the same, assuming that nothing changed. But look, if I go to a better job, like doing a little bit like extra 10K, I would unlock more borrowing capacity, but my visa is playing as well. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. Interesting.
We'll ask this one. I think there's plenty of free resources out there, including Oz Property, other great forums as well. How did you educate yourself to take these leaps? Can you please share 3 or 4 of them?
Oof. Okay.
Well, it's interesting because the way I see what you've done is like you got educated on the fundamentals, and then you just kept saying what's next and like you didn't do, what we talk about, like renovation, subdivision, developments, those type. You didn't focus on that because that wasn't achievable to you. And then as you grew and scaled, yeah. But what are some great resources that people can think about out there from a property perspective that you've loved along the way?
Look, there are a couple courses that you guys are welcome to do. Just pick and choose whichever is best for you. Each to their own. I'm not gonna stroke anyone here. So yes, courses is very important. But also the course is just like a sort of like a stir to where you want to go. So obviously do the course, any course that you want to do, and also go to YouTube, go to Facebook, go to the fundamentals. How you start learning like how the economy of Australia works. What does that mean, like cash? What is the meaning of the interest? What those sort of like a small things that we take it for granted that we should be able to understand when they are in a loan document, whether they're like in complex documents. We are be able to read it through and comprehend. It's not just words. So it just go to different. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, Joe just said, I thought it was about to bring something up.
Yes. No, there's a fantastic, I just posted it in the comments there. There's a fantastic video done by Ray Dalio. He wrote the book called Principles, which is actually what I based my name off of. And it's fantastic how the economic machine works. And it just breaks down simply all of the steps and processes in the economy and how things work, how interest rates work, how inflation works, and it's those type of things that's getting the fundamentals set up right that make it work. This has been an unreal session, Marci. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anything else that you want to put out there for Australians, for migrants? Like, is there any message that you want to put out there for people that can help them, or yeah?
This is my sort of mojo, and that's how I get up every day, and I go to my bed and I said to myself, you have everything that you need to get where you want or get what you want. You have everything. Remember, you whatever excuse that you're making not to have something, and now make the same excuse to having it. Because sometimes our brains works in that way to tell us how we cannot do this. But if we already know how we cannot do it, now let's break it down. How can I do it? And that's how I unlocked. Sometimes, like, like being a little bit more resourceful with this and that. So you have everything that you need to get where you want to go. I always said that to myself. So I would like to put it out there. Everyone can do it in different speed, in different circumstances. Don't feel pressure because someone has 10, 20, 30 properties or have this. Remember that your journey is different than everyone else. One's like vanilla flavor, the other likes chocolate. Doesn't make us different. We like the same ice cream. That's it.
That's an incredible way to end.
Marci, you are an inspiration. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your story. Bloody awesome session. Been on the same boat. Proud of you. Everyone's excited and who knows? We'll have to have you back in a couple of years as well. Maybe not even that long. Love this session. But no, thanks for answering the call. I remember when Ross kind of dobbed you in to some extent, and you were like, "Oh no, I can't do it this week. I got to do it a couple of weeks." But I think you've absolutely nailed it. So thank you so much for giving, just being there and just having a go. That's, I think, the Aussie attitude. Maybe it's Colombian attitude as well. And it's but no, I love what you've done, and you're only just getting started. But people, if you have loved this, give us that 5-star rating on Spotify so we can get more of these investment stories out to the community as well, because we've got a couple of these coming up along the way, and some people are reaching out with some cool stories about traveling the countries. And if you want to see more of this sort of stuff, make sure you give us that just get us out there into the interwebs and make it happen for us, please, team, because I want to get people saying thank you so much.
How do they do that?
Sorry, man.
How do they do that? What do they do?
I put it in the comments, man. I know I had it ready, but I sort of said it off the cuff. So, but people are loving it. They're saying you got ticket approval from us, not only Steamboat. Truly grateful to be able to listen to your story as well, Marci. How great.
Boom.
Thank you.
Rock and roll. Love it, Marci.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go buy property, guys. Catch you later. Have a good one. Thanks again, Marci. Killed it.